Hello everyone! Now in this video, I want to take a look at using AI in the research process. And at the time of making this video, there are several apps designed to help seasoned and budding scholars with their academic research. We'll look at a few of these apps today, but from the outset, let me make it clear, this video is not going to promote or rank any of these AI research tools, partly because the market and the apps are still evolving. As always, we have to be very careful about how we use AI in our scholarship, especially with research. Because, as I'm sure you're aware, AI may hallucinate or make up fake evidence. Some scholars prefer the term fabricate to hallucinate, although that implies an intention to trick you, which isn't the case. AIs hallucinate and make mistakes because they're still training. So for example, when you ask GPT to find sources for your research paper, there's a chance some of those sources will be real and that some won't. And if you turn in a paper with fake evidence, that's a serious violation of academic integrity. It's like a scientist faking the results of an experiment. And because this is such a serious violation of academic integrity, this could mean assignment or course failure, or even expulsion from your university. Let's be clear about this. In higher education, there is no difference between intentional and unintentional misconduct. The punishments are the same. Now, in my experience, most students who use AI know how to check if their sources exist or not. But where they might get into trouble is in determining whether the arguments or evidence that AI attributes to a legitimate source are in fact correct. ChatGPT may tell me that in his book Bold, Daring, Shocking, and True, Eric Schaeffer explains why gangster film swept the Academy Awards in 1932. But as a professor, if I teach that book and I know my discipline, I know very well that that source never made that argument. And thus we're also dealing here with a case of misconduct, attributing false evidence to a real source. It's the same crime, same punishment. That's why you have a responsibility to read your sources, to verify your research. There's no shortcut when it comes to this. Warning number 2, even if the source is real, that doesn't mean it's worth citing. If I'm asking AI for ideas or arguments that I can use in my research, and if the AI source for those arguments is Reddit or another consortium of internet randos, well, citing those randos is going to weaken my argument severely. And if you're not sure whether the source AI suggests is credible, talk to your professor, a librarian, or a peer tutor. One final warning. Whenever, however you use AI in your research, you are obligated to cite it just as you would any other source. Each citation format has its own procedures for citing AI. You don't have to memorize these precisely because these formats will change slightly every few years. You just need to know to cite. And you can refer to a website like the Online Writing Lab at Purdue University to find the precise citation formats. Okay, now that our warnings are out of the way, let's talk about how to use AI in research. In another video, we talked about using AI to brainstorm and structure our essays, and the same tips and caveats apply when using AI for a more formal research project. But today I want to talk about using AI to discover useful sources. I'm going to start my research today on Perplexity, asking it to find some sources for my new project. Now my prompt should specify some search limits. In this case, I want to use only scholarly sources and only from the past 10 years. But there are other ways we could refine our prompt even further. Now eventually I want to turn my research into an interesting paper with something original to say. So I'd like some insight not just on what's out there, but what's missing or under-researched in my field. And it looks like I may have a few angles to pursue. Another AI-driven app I'm going to use today to help me discover some new sources is Semantic Scholar. And this program lets me rank sources by their influence in addition to their date and relevancy, which could be useful when I'm trying to develop a larger sense of the discourse. Once I choose a paper, I have options to pursue background and method citations, which can give me some context on the kind of approach the scholar has taken. Is this a Freudian-style paper, a new historical argument? And what's useful here is that the related sources may not have been cited in the particular paper, thus giving me a broad range of work to look at. The result citation function will give me some more recent sources showing how the research field has changed since that paper's publication. In any case, I've got a lot of sources now to vet and work with, and I'm starting to get a wider sense of the current discourse on my subject. Now, to further familiarize myself with that discourse, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. One of the most useful steps at this stage is for us to get a clearer sense of what the major papers argue. Now, papers have always had abstracts that summarize their findings, saving scholars lots of time since the second millennium BCE. But there are some new tools in the game today as well. I'm going to try using a program called Elicit, which markets itself as a research assistant. And just by typing in my subject and related keywords, it will give me a summary not of a single source, but of a few major papers in the field. Again, helping me get a sense of the overall discourse, not just one scholar's perspective. Not only that, it also gives me a one-sentence summary of the papers it finds, in case reading a full paragraph abstract is too onerous. Now, this is all just surface-level research, but it's preparing me for one of the important early tasks in my work, making connections. Good research is all about forming connections between sources, understanding what experts have to say on your subject, and laying the groundwork for you to add your own original perspective. One other useful app you might consider in making those connections is Litmaps. This is a really novel app in the sense that it helps you visualize the discursive connections in your research area, showing you how and when research on the subject has taken place and mapping all the citational interconnections between the sources. With membership, you also have more advanced options like tagging sources by keywords that you can assign. Now, the thing is, apps like these are only as good as their databases, and I don't know how extensive this database is right now. And again, I bring all of these up as examples rather than endorsements of different AI research tools, each of which can supplement but not supplant traditional research methodologies. As AI evolves, so too will the tools and the ways we use it to help us discover new sources and make connections between them. But as a final warning and also a tip as you go forward in your own research endeavors, in my own experience, it's rarely the main or key arguments of an article that serve as the springboard for further research. Often it's the smaller points, tangential bits of evidence, stray supporting arguments, the kind of thing an AI app would probably miss in generating a summary of a paper. More to the point, you won't be expert enough to add to a conversation if all you know are summaries of the top articles. Skimming the surface is okay when you're getting a sense of the field, but if you want to contribute something meaningful, you have to go deeper. This means reading your sources critically, thinking creatively about what you want to add to the conversation. And these are tasks that you cannot currently outsource to AI. As J.R.R. Tolkien said, shortcuts make long delays. So if you're using AI in research, it could be a great starting point if used responsibly, but the larger journey is one you undertake yourself. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.
Get it right.